And here we are again. Here we be again, yo.
What up, yo? Shout out to all that are tuning in.
You know, and thank you for following us. What's going on, man? It's the Gritz and Glitter Podcast.
Listen. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I got to tell you, I'm probably really kind of better than most people think I should be. I have made a decision to go back to LA. I am moving back to LA. And I got to tell you why. Because we can do our podcast anywhere. We can be anywhere in the world. We can film it, record it anywhere in the world. I'm going back to LA. And the reason why I need to surround myself around more creative energy. Yeah. Not that there's not creativity in Florida, because obviously we're both in Florida still. But hello. But I just need, I'm feeling the need to plug back into my roots. You know, I lived in California for 26 years before I moved to Florida, and almost 3 years now. And I'm going, no, I don't want to land here and stay here. I want to venture back to where I call home. Yeah. And plug back in. So I'm good. I'm excited. You know, I'm really excited about the next opportunity. So this whole kind of week has been going, what does it look like? You're about to get up and you're about to pack your stuff and you're about to move back to LA. What does it look like? And it's a good week. It's a good week of possibilities.
I love it.
A little scary.
Oh, of course. Like, you've been here for a couple of years now, and then you're going to go 3,000 miles back. Like, I can imagine how scary, and the unknown a little bit too. You know,
the unknown. But I think that's a part of I think our life is about the unknown. Yes. And I always say, you know, we got to release our history and embrace our mystery. And the mystery, if we can embrace, I know, right? Hello.
Say that again.
Hello.
Say that again.
Release the history and embrace the mystery. Ooh, because that's what we got to do to get past fear. Because a lot of our fear, and here I am, okay, Rev Skip. What was my drag name from the last episode? It was Reverend Shooter York. Reverend Shooter York. So Reverend Shooter York. Here we go. Here I is. You know, we're in fear of what if this is not the best thing for me, or what if this is an awful thing. We're in fear of that. So it stops us from moving forward. And, you know, my teacher, Michael Beckwith, says, okay, so let's play the what if game. What if this is the greatest movement that you could do for your whole entire life? Suppose this is the pinnacle of your life, and you make this movement, there's more abundance that you've ever experienced. There's more creativity, more love in your life. Suppose. So that's why I've been playing this week, suppose, and getting excited, talking to friends. And a friend of mine was talking about these new restaurants that has opened up in the last 2.5 years. And, you know, I'm a foodie. I'm like, I'm in. I am in for the new food. Yes.
I love it. I think, one, that's amazing. Congratulations. I know it's a big step to uproot oneself, you know, once again, and travel back cross country. That's a daunting thing, right?
Right. Right.
So congratulations on that.
You.
I obviously wish you nothing but much success, and we working together, so we're gonna be successful.
Hello. You know.
So I love that for you. It's so funny that you are from LA, especially when we met. You told me that you were from LA. LA has a very sort of stereotypical, like, presence or reputation, I should say. Reputation, right? People are like, oh, LA so plastic. Oh, they so this. Everybody wants, first thing they say, hello, my name is, what you do, right? Like, what you do? What kind of job you got? You know, I've experienced that in LA, but that's not you at all. That is not you at all. That's what I love so much. You are just that down to earth. I feel like you get into LA and you saying, go ahead and have that plastic. Go ahead and be focused on that job. But let me bring you, you know, some down to earth kind of energy. Let me bring you some find your light, find who you are. Like, you're more and bigger and better than just being that plastic focused about the credit cards, the designer shoes. Like there's just this element of you, and I love that about you.
Oh, thank you. And it's I believe it's everywhere. I believe that
Yeah.
not just in LA, it's in New York, and I believe it's up to me. And listen, I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm spiritual, but I'm bougie, and I believe I can be spiritual and bougie.
Hello? You heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
I love it.
You heard it
I
here.
love it. I love the goodness of life. I love the prosperity that life can bring. So part of this is understanding that there is the spiritual life that leads me, but I truly believe I live in an abundant universe. So therefore, prosperity and abundance is going to flow through and as me. So yeah, that's been my week. That's been my week.
It.
What you been doing, brother?
It.
And before you start, I got to show you something that we didn't do last time because we on this new network right here. This is what we got.
What we got?
You didn't hear it?
No.
It's clapping. You don't hear it on your side?
There. We're moving on up.
We got sound effects.
I love it.
Now. We got clapping.
I love it.
People laughing when we tell jokes. We don't have to be the only one laughing. We can bring in the laugh track too.
I love it. We need an audience. Come on.
I know, right? What you been up to this week, brother?
Oh, it's been a busy week. As always, I'm always at the gym, training like crazy. I'm working like crazy. I am so excited to be doing, consulting at Terry Dyer LLC and really working with clients that are doing different works, right? Like I get to be a part of their mission and bringing their work to life in a consultative type of way. I have some clients here in South Florida. I'm working on, fingers crossed, solidifying one massive client as well. And then I have a global one that I'm working with that's focusing on human trafficking. So a space that I've never been in. So I'm so excited.
Human trafficking, right? Preventing it, right?
Yeah.
Preventing. Yeah, yes, I love it.
Preventing human trafficking. Yeah. So I am so excited to be doing all of that. And of course, all the work that we're doing together, podcasts, working on the book. I did a bunch of writing this week on the book. And I'm excited. I'm exhausted because I just got back from California and Seattle and, just talking about a lot of different heavy conversations with respects to HIV and education and racism and this. And I love all those things, but it can be a little exhausting. So I'm glad to be home and in my own space again.
Are they listening to the podcast when you run into people? Are people listening?
So we have gotten some messages, some feedback. We've gotten people posting on LinkedIn and commenting. I can't wait to listen. Oh my gosh, you guys are like your chemistry, blah, blah, blah. So we just do what we love to do. We are the way we are with each other because we're friends, we're colleagues, we're support to each other. We're just who we are. And so I love the fact that we're getting all of this positive love and feedback. And I think it's so amazing. Please keep it up. Tell your friends.
Yes.
What about your friends? Like, make them sure they listen in. I know.
You with the songs.
I know. I don't know.
Episode. My friend in New York, David, said to me, because we had a couple episodes back where we talked about King James. We talked about inclusivity in the church. And he texted me, he was listening, he was watching on YouTube. And he was like, "Oh, child, you just out of King James." I went, "Yes, I did."
Whoops. Hey, we told y'all we call spades a spades here.
That's right. And so make sure y'all leave some comments and watch us on YouTube. We're there. And wherever you get your podcast, you just subscribe, like, share, tell people what we're doing out here. We're having a great time at Gritz and Glitter. And I'm still not over the fact you don't like grits. Every once in a while, I got to bring it back up. Every once in a while.
So here's what's funny. So let me tell you a little funny story. So I think I mentioned before, I got a new man in my life and everything, right? So he loves grits. So we ordered breakfast recently and he made a little side comment. He was like, "Ooh, I'm about to order you some grits and not the soupy kind." And I was like, you better not waste money on grits for me. Like, I'm not doing it. He was like, "No, I'm going to get you past this I don't eat grits phase." I was like, phase? I've been this way my whole life. I don't eat grits. Let me tell you. Don't crucify me.
This is for Adam. Get that boy eat some grits, please. Get that boy eat some grits.
I can't do it, y'all. I can't do it.
I get it.
Don't take my black card, please.
Well, we talked about Drag Race, last week, and I'm a sometimes watcher. They're
That's
gonna
true.
take my gay card away. They're gonna
That's
take my
true.
gay card away, but it's all good.
Love
Okay,
it.
so did you know? What you gonna tell me? What you gonna tell me?
Oh man. So this is something that's super fun. I'm super excited about it because as we know, those who live in South Florida or who has visited like Wilton Manors, which is the gay neighborhood, very equivalent to like Castro in San Francisco, right? So there's a new bar night that has popped up at PJ's Corner Bar, and they call it Chocolate City.
Okay, so educate your brother because I have yet to be there. What makes it chocolate?
Because there's a whole lot of black folk. Whole lot of black folk.
Okay, what's bringing the black folk to the Chocolate City?
So shout out to a CBO, community-based organization here. They're based in Miami, but they do a lot of work here in Broward County and Fort Lauderdale, etc. So shout out to Afro Pride Federation, my partner Damon, for bringing in the folks to celebrate, to commiserate, to break bread together, to have a cocktail, to celebrate our blackness, our queerness, our LGBTQ, all of the above, right? So I haven't been yet. It just opened recently. I haven't been yet. She's been traveling a little bit. But I've seen some video clips on social media. All I saw was black, 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 blackity, blackity, black. And I loved it. I saw some bodies in some underwear behind the bar. It's, again, another opportunity for us to have a safe space for our people to go and to feel welcome. That to me is the biggest piece. Feeling welcome in a predominantly gay space where we don't have that in all of the other areas. So that's Chocolate City, brought to you by Afro Pride Federation.
So we're gonna have to go together. We're definitely going to have to go together. I am really, really excited about that because I believe that I have not always felt safe in our LGBT bars and places because sometimes I'm the only one, and we've talked about that before. But I love that. So Chocolate City, we're going to have a night, and we'll go out. And so mine is actually another bar. Oh. There is this bar that's in Washington, D.C., and I love what. Speaking of Chocolate City. D.C. is Chocolate City. There's this new bar called the Thrust Lounge. I'm going to say it again. Thrust Lounge. It's a very unique experience. It's a Black-owned queer lounge where they're going and they're just chilling. They're chilling, they're drinking, they're having a good time, and they're conversating about politics. Ooh. It's a place where you can go. It's a community hub. They're calling it a community hub, and where activists and social people coming together, and they're debating stuff. They're there over a cocktail. When you get together over cocktails, and you're in a political town, and you drink it, that's what they do.
Absolutely,
but to have a safe haven for Black folks to go into Black queer folks to talk about politics.
Absolutely.
This is now here's what they've also said. It could be a challenge because you're in a heightened political town, but it's so needed. And it's in Washington. So if you're in Washington, D.C., we're going to have to go one day. I believe we're going to be invited to speak Washington, D.C. We're going to go to Thrust Lounge. If you go to thrustlounge.com, you can find out more information about it. And if you click on it, and you bring up these brothers are fine, like fine.
Like Mary J. Blige said, just fine. Hey, got it.
You are good. Okay, listen. I love this episode. This episode is it's called Black to Broadway. Black to not back. Black to Broadway.
They had back a few years ago when we shut down and COVID and all of that. There was Back to Broadway was a big thing during that time and trying to get people back into seats and that sort of thing. So we taken a page from them, just a slight little bit.
But I love this idea that we get to talk about inclusivity and power roles. And
Mm.
what we mean by power roles is that, you know, we're seeing Black actors on screen and on stage, but are we really seeing those in those roles that can greenlight something, or that can say yes, like in the director or the producer
Yeah.
role? I know that it is lacking in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It is definitely lacking in Broadway. And I believe when you have someone of color behind the scenes going, yeah, this is how we're going to roll this way, and this
Absolutely.
is what we're going to bring to the table. I believe we need to have more Black representation in the power roles, in the power jobs, those who are making the decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into, this heavy topic, because between the two of us, we got a lot to say about this grits topic,
I
right?
know.
Both being Black, both being fans of music, musical theater, talking about power in these spaces and
Yes.
equity in these spaces, right? But before we do, we want to
Yes.
give a quick shout out to our first advertiser.
Hello.
Yes. So we would like to take a minute just to tell you about one of our favorite photography teams. They are husband-wife duo and just unbelievably sweet, kind, amazing. They've got an incredible eye. They fix you up, make you look good. Fix my eyes, child. They fix my eyes all the time. I love them. I love them. I love them. And so shout out to Denise Royal and Tony Brown of Royal Brown Photography. If you'd like to get, if you liked our promotional shots for Grits and Glitter and all of the fun pictures that we took, that's our team at Royal Brown Photography. So hit them up, let them capture your special memories or create some new ones for you. You can DM them on Instagram at Royal Brown Photography or email them at royalbrownpics, P-I-X, at gmail.com. So shout out to Denise and Tony.
Hello. I love that.
Yes.
Good work they do. So we're talking about those that are in the position of power. And you've been in the arts for most of your life.
Yeah.
I think it's very rare to see people of color, queer people of color in charge. It's happening, but it's not happening enough. So
absolutely.
How do you feel about that? What's going on when you see that?
So I think historically, Broadway has not been particularly diverse. However, there has been a major shift. And the Black folk are out, honey. They're out. They're out. And I'm loving that we're making this transition to starring roles, to feature roles, we're no longer just in the ensemble, we're stepping out in the front. And what I find so incredibly fascinating is if you really go back years and years ago, we had one of the most iconic dancers, actresses, singers. Now she's a choreographer, she's executive producer, she's Miss Debbie Allen.
Hey.
Now, Miss Debbie Allen has changed the game for Black people being behind the camera. She's done Broadway. She's done TV. Hello, Miss Ma'am producing a Different World, right? Like, changed.
And they're on their tour right now. You know, they're on the tour. You know,
absolutely.
I'm loving it. Bring back memories.
So for her, so thinking about her and what she has done to pave the way and change it for Black actors and Black actresses, there's been early shows like The Wiz, which we're going to talk about, Porgy and Bess, Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with God. That was a good one. And Pearly, we now have Black male and Black female performers leading the way, but also creating history and winning Tony Awards.
Absolutely.
Winning the awards. So not only just taking these or getting into these feature roles now, they're winning awards. And I want to call out a couple, right?
Yes.
So as I always like to do, little fun facts and tidbits for us, for our listeners out there.
Yes.
So the first Black Tony Award winner was a woman by the name of Juanita Hall. In 1950, she played the starring role in South Pacific. And although we've only had 16 Black actors have won an Oscar, only 16.
Yeah, it's powerful.
We have currently 50 Black female or Black male who have won a Tony.
And that's less than 10% of those. That's less than 10%.
Right. Can you name a few? Who do you think has won a Tony Award as a black female actor or actress?
Well, we know Whoopi Goldberg has. I mean, she's an
Absolutely.
EGOT. She's an EGOT.
Absolutely.
Also, I don't know now. Jennifer Hudson, she's an EGOT, but I don't know if she won a Tony Award for. I think she won one for producing.
She did. She did. That still counts. Again, that's exactly what you were just saying, right? With respects to somebody who's on the back end of things, not playing a role. And we know she's an Oscar winner, right? So she's and got an Emmy too. So she's done the work out front. But to be able to be in a space where she's getting that Tony Award for producing, unbelievable, unbelievable. Absolutely. Yep. But we've had, lots of them, as I said, the 50. But yes, you're right. Whoopi, Viola Davis has won a Tony. Harry Belafonte, Diane Carroll, James Earl Jones, Melba Moore. Of course, the queen of Dreamgirls, Jennifer Holliday.
And that's what we're talking about, that in the actor role, we're seeing more representation. We're seeing people win awards, but those who are producing behind. So I definitely want to shout out, Tyler Perry. I mean, man, Tyler Perry. And you know what? I love me some Medea. I love me.
Yes.
And sometimes it's problematic. It's not always good entertainment, but I love me some Tyler Perry. Yes. I love what he does. And also you look at Oprah Winfrey, of course, they're pushing the green light on things. Issa Rae, but we still need to have more people, queer people, coming out going, I'm going to make my movie and I'm going to be the producer on that. And that's kind of the lacking part of what we are. I believe that we can improve on in inclusivity in those roles.
Yep. So I want to call out, there is one who, Lena Waithe, right?
Yes.
Right? LGBTQ, and has literally been behind the camera. She had some stuff in front of the camera, actress, that sort of thing, but really is changing the game. The game from that producer, from that writer, from that perspective. And obviously not Tony or Broadway, but Miss Issa Rae, who I'm going to talk about later in my Who's Paving the Way, right? Those women are literally behind the camera making things happen for our people.
Quentin Bronson, do you watch Abbott? Quentin, do you
so
watch Abbott?
I binge watched the 2 seasons of Abbott Elementary, and I laughed my big old tail off. So funny. So good. So funny. Yep.
So good.
Yep.
So in this idea of inclusivity in these roles, I mean, we can all kind of speculate. Why aren't we seeing more heads of studio people of color?
I think, as we've talked about this before, right? I think there is an element of, bring the Black people to the table, but only allow them so far, right? Yeah. And I think the more that we have the Debbie Allens of the world, the Quinta Brunsons of the world, we need it to shift into the opera world, right? The classical world. Big, huge art form. We need it to shift there, and for folks to be conductors, for folks to be producing those big time operas. And then we also need it on Broadway more. There's not a tremendous amount of Black representation, choreographers, producers, writers. We need some new musicals, right? Yeah. Where are some of those? I know we've got The Strange Loop, and, Candy Burris and Todd have, are on Broadway, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but they're on Broadway. So we need folks like them to step up more and find that capital in order to produce and represent our people.
So then are we, again, going back to something that Marcus Garvey taught us about, Black people support Black people. So are we looking for us Black millionaires and billionaires to go, I'm going to support, this is what Oprah Winfrey did for The Color Purple, which Color Purple happens to be my favorite book, my favorite musical, both on stage and, in the movies, also the film, my favorite film. And it was Oprah Winfrey said, I'm going to support this. I got to put my money behind this. Yep. Is that the solution? Is it, or, seeing the value of our talent and seeing what we can do. What do you think the answer there is, bro?
I think the Tyler Perrys of the world need to, and there's not that many of them out there that are Black, right? Let's be real. But we need folks like that to step up and say, there's this work by Tennessee Williams. There's this work by Toni Morrison. There's, Langston Hughes. Let's turn that into Broadway. Let's put that on the Carnegie Halls of the world, the Metropolitan Opera Houses of the world. They need to step up and start doing and producing and backing financially that type of work. That's the only way that we're going to get it to happen. Or allies. We talk about allyship for often, right? Like we need folks that believe in the importance of, just like Steven Spielberg years and years ago believed in The Color Purple, right? And one of the most iconic films out there.
Now he just renews the recent Color Purple as
Absolutely.
well, along with Quincy, along with Oprah.
Yes, we need, and Quincy Jones. We need those people to step up and say, we need to take more of a leadership role to produce these types of things. If we've got people like Billy Porter, who has changed the game from a Black LGBTQ actor and activist and Tony Starr and all of that.
Kingy Boots.
Changed the game. Then we recently had one more incredibly historical moment with Alex Newell, a trans woman, winning the Tony for Best Actress. Like we're making so much progress, but we really need to be the ones in power. We really need to be the ones writing and producing and executive producing in order to change the lens.
And it's been known to, here's another point that I was researching when we were coming up about the lack of Black people actually going to Broadway or going to the theater has dropped significantly since COVID. And so when you have something that's so incredible that is Black created, that's Black supported, you got to have almost, to get to Broadway, a business loan. It's not accessible for people of color. You got to save up. I mean, this is the problem. And the other problem was too with films. If you're going to do a night out, here's what I'm going to tell myself. So if someone's thinking about casting me in a film, I will change it around. But listen, here's the story. I would much rather buy it on streaming than going out to the movie theater and spending for two people to go to movie theater and popcorn. Well, it's easier for me to buy it and stream it, but this is what I do.
Really?
If it was Black created, if it was a Black produced film, I'm going to the theater. I'm going to make, because those numbers count. And if I lived in New York, I would get out to the theater. We got to make it more accessible.
And I think that goes into, and I get it from a business perspective, right? Like you got to make money for your production, right? You don't want to be upside down. But there are other ways that you can get butts in seats, right? Go to the local high schools, go to the local Boys and Girls Club, like get a sponsor or one of the donors or whatever to sponsor 50 seats, bringing in Black and brown or marginalized communities into these spaces. We have to take more ownership in that, because who's going to be in those positions when you're behind die off, right? We have to expose. Right, 100%.
And they brought in people, marginalized community, people of color, queer kids. They really made the effort to bring people in to see who could not afford. So it is actually happening. We're calling it in. We're definitely calling it in. So how, if someone gave you, say, $1 million that go and, well, it's going to be more than that, to be on Broadway, what would you do? I mean, what would you like? How would you begin to gather around people of color and queer people to support your art?
Yeah, I think for me, first of all, if I get $1 million, like, it's over. Bye y'all, it's over.
But it's gonna take more than that to get to Broadway.
It is, because I feel like in this day and age, $1 million doesn't go as far as it used to 15, 20 years ago, right? So absolutely believe in giving back to my community and building from an economic development perspective, right? So I want to employ folks that are Black and brown. I want to provide jobs. I want to give mentorship programs and internships and all these sorts of things. So that way these folks are learning and developing because I am a firm believer. People have to really realize, especially older generations, right, that are in these positions of power, boo-boo. Knock on wood, but you ain't gonna be around forever. So it is your responsibility, right? What's the saying? With privilege comes great responsibility, right? So you've got to figure out ways to start bringing people along and bringing people up because they're going to be running things in years from now. We're not going to be around forever. So why not put these opportunities in place to train and develop and allow these people the opportunity to see how it works? So that's what I would do.
What I'm loving seeing right now is seeing people who are, especially in Hollywood right now, actors that are out there now, you will see their name come up as executive producers somewhere.
Yes.
So they're getting their name onto the art that they're involved in, which is always great to see that roll down. You see Viola Davis, executive producer, the woman, the woman king, you see that you roll up and going, okay, she's in there pushing the button. She was the force behind getting that movie done as well.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of folks don't necessarily do well, right? You see it in athletics and sports all the time, right? Football players in the NFL. What's your life going to be after retirement? Right? What's your business going to be? What's your, and not a lot of people know this. I don't even really talk about it in my first book, but my cousin is Steve Jordan, who was number 83 for 10 years on the Minnesota Vikings, who went to Brown University, right? So he literally built a business to ensure that he was successful after playing in the NFL for so many years. And his son, who is currently on the New Orleans Saints, right? He's making sure that he has the same aspects, right? Like barring an injury, or you never know how long your career is going to last in athletics, in Hollywood, right? At the drop of a dime, somebody can be gone, right? So, or blacklisted, or all those sorts of things. So you've got to figure out how to have that plan B, or build you something that can be your business for after your career is done.
So you're actually talking about taking on the role of a mentor, taking on the role of cultivating new talent, cultivating new people to come up into these roles of becoming producers. And Absolutely. I'm sure, and I know there are people that are doing that. I know Tyler Perry does that. I know that there are people that are really bringing up this next generation. I believe every industry needs to do that.
Absolutely.
Every industry needs to do that for sure. But
I agree.
I'm hoping and I'm seeing and I'm praying that there will be a bigger shift around people in power to look like me and you, brother.
That's right. That's right. I think about this all the time with respects to, moving needles forward. And we talk a lot about people fear what they don't know. And when there's a lack of education around why people are fighting so hard for equality, I think we just get into this space of, well, they're taking something away from me, or I'm not going to have the same opportunities because now they're coming up, and things like that. And it's not about that, right? We just want equal playing fields across all spectrums. That's really what it boils down to. And you said something earlier about Tyler Perry and Medea and things like that. I want to take it even a step further because this gets to me sometimes, right? We've got folks like Tyler, Robin Williams, right, who played Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire is playing on the Broadway stage here in South Florida. We have those folks who basically put on a dress and made a lot of money. What is the difference between that and our drag, brothers and sisters? Because there's drag kings, right? Our drag brothers and sisters doing the same thing, right? we as a whole society, we went and saw those movies. We let our children see Mrs. Doubtfire. We let our children and all these people see The Birdcage and all these different things where there's men dressed like women. However, we have a problem with equal rights for the LGBT community, but we certainly didn't have a problem with somebody putting on a dress and making you laugh. I don't get it. Yeah, clap, clap. Yep.
That was so dope. Listen, here's the truth. I mean, you really called us in because we don't call people out. We're calling us in to really think about that. Think about, I mean, men have been putting on, Martin, it's, Shanae, Martin.
100%. And In Living Color, Wanda, played by Jamie Foxx, like.
And we all thought it was funny. It was, acceptable. But now in this day and age, drag is, problematic in some people's eyes.
Right.
Wow.
Right. I know our last episode was about drag and politics, but I just had to call that out as we talk about, Black and equality and in stage and screen and movies and all of that. Like, I had to call that out. We have to
I think every show should be drag and politics and Beyonce.
Okay. Queen Bee. There we go. That's true. That's true.
I am beyond excited for our next segment because we are talking about In the Glitter, and I really want to have a fanfare, or I want to have I gotta have something behind us for that, because that was absolutely amazing. The Wiz.
Welcome back.
The Wiz is back, y'all. Okay,
welcome
you don't
back.
even know, but I'm gonna tell you, The Wiz changed my life. The Wiz, when I was a little black boy growing up in New Jersey, my stepdad was he loved musicals, and he took us to go see The Wiz, Your Arms Too Short to Box with God, with Pearlie, because it was a slew of black plays that came out around the same time. I was about 6 years old. And I remember in watching, and I'm going, oh yeah, we're going to see a black Wizard of Oz. My stepdad would see me and told me we're going to see a black Wizard of Oz. I'm like, okay, I got this. And all of a sudden, when the tornado came, this woman comes and dances around in her head and things going. I knew this was not the Wizard of Oz. This was the Wiz, the colors, the dancing. It changed me. It literally changed me from the inside out. And I realized, oh my God, this is going to be with me for the rest of my life. And it has been with me. You know how many auditions I went in and sang Home? You know how many auditions I Be a Lion? How many auditions when I was trying to get into Broadway and do my thing and all that? Be a Lion was my song. That was my go-to song, Be a Lion, for auditions. It changed me. I was like, Stephanie Mills, Goddess, Andre DeShields, God. I mean, I saw it, the original, changed my life.
Legend, Michael Jackson.
Well, you're going to the movie now. You took me from face to movie.
I know. But let me, there's so much that I want to unpack there about your experience with The Wiz. What I loved as a child was seeing, I didn't get a chance, of course, growing up to go to New York and see it on Broadway and that sort of thing. But there was always those PBS specials where, they showed it and things like that. So I had the opportunity to watch it as a little kid, and like you, fell in love with the song Home. Mm-hmm. In fact, I got to sing it for Star Search when I was
Yes, you did.
So that, I agree. I'm on the same page with you. Like, that changed my life. And we hear this, time and time again from African Americans who see themselves represented on screen, on stage, in magazines and things like that, right? From models and actors, all of it, right? The Wiz just did something to my spirit. Yeah. That I was like, wow, like seeing the glamour, seeing the funny parts, seeing them
the dancing,
and the dancing, seeing them take an iconic story like The Wizard of Oz and change it to represent our culture and all the cultural like colloquialisms that were there, right? Like I was blown
Yeah.
away
One of my
as a
favorite
kid.
scenes you were saying in the movie, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they go to Oz and they change in the colors, red. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
it's going to roll old money, but
Yes.
green, you got to be seen. Green.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Right.
And
Right.
just
I love it.
how amazing. And then that last final scene where they're playing, they're in gold and the camera slowly pans over and it's Quincy Jones playing the piano.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, these are Black people just celebrating. I mean, every song is a song of celebration. I believe that this is a time that we need to go back to this beautiful time of the Wiz. So they're bringing it back to Broadway. It's actually launched and it's really doing really well.
It's on Broadway now.
Yes.
Produced by Candy and Todd Burris.
Yes.
So I have spoken to people who have seen it while it was on tour.
Right.
In like Los Angeles. People have seen it in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's in New York right now on Broadway. So, and I've also read on Reddit and Rotten Tomatoes some of the reviews. What I will say, just drawing attention to the current cast real quick. Whoa.
Yeah. No joke. No joke.
No joke. The singing, and I've seen some clips, and
I've seen clips
I've seen them being interviewed on certain talk shows and things like that. But it's starring Wayne Brady, the incomparable Deborah Cox, right? All her gays love her.
Oh my God, because she's becoming a big Broadway diva. She's like
100%. Yep. She played in Whitney, like on absolutely. Nichelle Lewis, who is now this, up and coming star. Melody Betts, who plays Eveline.
Yes.
Amazing. Avery Wilson and some of the others. So here's what I want to draw attention to. You and I just talked about how this film, the musical, the original musical, it resonates with us and how it's impacted our lives in such a way, right? And I also just wanted to say too, so in my upcoming concert and the one I did in February in San Francisco, I have a tribute to The Wiz in the show. So
I love it.
Very, very excited about that because I fell in love all over again with the score. The reviews are not great.
But here's the thing. It's just like The Color Purple. Don't be going back in there to experience the same thing you had.
I agree.
Release the history, embrace the mystery. It's a whole different thing. I read the reviews too.
I agree. I was a little surprised by the reviews. And I think I was surprised because Candy Burris is one of those people that everything she touches turned to gold.
And Emma Ruskin is the writer, and everything. Her writing is phenomenal. She's one of the funniest people I've ever seen on late night. And I'm like, is it because they're attached to what the Wiz mean to them from the Michael Jackson movie to the original? What do you think it is?
It could be. However, a lot of the reviews that I read, and I've read a good handful.
Yeah.
I've read a good handful.
Okay.
What I have consistently read is that the production is way over the top. People were upset that they paid.
Way over the top.
I know, but the Wiz is right. I agree.
It's the Wiz. Can you be over the top with the Wiz?
I know. I read reviews that complained about Wayne Brady's singing being below average.
Ooh.
Did see those.
Wow.
Did see those. Some reviews said that the entire show felt like it was still on tour. And yes, of course it was, but it was more like it wasn't at the Broadway level that they felt like it should have been. You've done the tour thing. You've, kind of cleaned up bits and pieces. And that some people said like the writing wasn't that good.
But I know. Okay, so here's my whole point about that. I mean, I read those reviews. I read some really good reviews too. I read a
Yeah.
great review
Yeah.
about it that it was saying like, this is great. This is something new. Did you
Yes.
go in there trying to look for the flying monkeys? There's no flying monkeys. Did
Right.
you want to see a Toto? There was no Toto. They
Right.
decided to go in a whole different way. I
Right.
believe that people, this is just me and critics, 'cause I've had my own critics and people have written some terrible things about me and my art. But critics sometimes I just want to grab them and shake them and say, take off your critic hat and just look at it as
I
a
know.
person of entertainment. And here's the thing about critics, they can shut a show down.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely agreed.
And we
Absolutely
need representation on Broadway.
We do.
So do you think it's going to shut down soon?
Well, I just watched an interview with Candy Burris on Monday. Surprise, surprise! It was on my favorite Sherry Shepherd show.
I know. I saw it too. I saw it too.
Love her. And she said it's up for the next 4 months. So hopefully these reviews do not impact, the bottom line and ticket sales and that sort of thing. I definitely said to my new man that maybe we could, sneak a little Friday, Saturday, Sunday like weekend in and go see The Wiz, because that would just mean everything to me, right? Like, again, being an adult and performing some of the songs from the score now, like, it would just mean everything to me, regardless of what the reviews say. And it also breaks my heart to see, folks talk about the sets and things are tacky, and it takes over the essence of the show because things are so loud and from a design perspective and things like that. I'm like, no, like The Wiz is big. It is loud.
That's
the costumes are loud,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah. I will say too that a lot of the reviews that I read really talked about how they can hands down see Tony nods for Nichelle, who plays Dorothy, Nichelle Lewis, and then Melody, who plays Eveline.
And
Yes, I heard that woman, Melody Betts, got a standing ovation on Broadway, and it was the only standing ovation. Even Home didn't get a standing ovation. So they said she's, probably going to get a Tony nom as well.
Here's the other question to follow up for this in this idea of what is the sort of Broadway and who has created the standard saying, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to have it that's here. And again, these standards are making these tickets outpriced. What is the price of these tickets? Are these tickets still that expensive right now?
Someone I read, and I haven't looked up tickets myself, but I read in one of the reviews that they paid something like $300 to $400 per seat, and they took a few people.
That's bank loan.
Hello?
So
that's a new pair of shoes.
So again, we're talking about people that are in the power positions. How do we make Broadway and these movies economical? I mean, we have to stop having these this is why I believe you go over the top, because you're trying to outdo the next show, because you're going to be talked about, you're going to be hated on, haters are going to hate.
Right. I just feel like the more that we, kind of develop programming for, Broadway and Carnegie Hall and the Metropolitan Opera House for like high schools or even colleges, right? Like develop programming to where you're giving back and allowing students to come and see, create these. And I heard they have these actually with some shows where they're creating a lottery to get people, discounted tickets or things like that. Create those opportunities for folks to get into the space to come see, because it's a missed opportunity, especially for marginalized communities where they might want to be an actress, they might want to be a singer, but all they see in mainstream is R&B or rap. That's all they want, but not understanding that there's another form that's equally as good, and you may not be splattered all over TMZ or splattered all over the Billboard charts, but you still have another form, just like these up and coming young Black male and female actors on Broadway. you can do that
Yeah.
too. You know, they just need to be seen and given the opportunity to see it.
So we got to talk about the legacy of whether you like it or not, or you've seen it. We got to talk about the legacy of The Wiz. That
Yes.
this incredible story that modernized a story that was very for another community and took it and create their own. The legacy of Broadway and movies doing that is very, very important. The reason why is because there were no opportunities for people who look like us to be on stage. So they created
Absolutely.
their own, like, Carmen Jones. And remember Carmen Jones?
Right.
Carmen,
Dorothy
opera,
Dandridge.
so this is the legacy of what we get to do. And I love the idea of taking something that was traditionally white and creating something that is phenomenal. But then the
Absolutely.
same thing is happening now. You took something and created something, and they create something new, and people are having their problems with it. Are we still
Absolutely.
attached? Because this is the legacy of art. We're not here to do the same thing over and over again. We're here to create something new, even if it's okay, like Wicked. Look at Wicked. And I've seen Wicked 4 times, and I've seen 2 amazing performances. I've seen 2 not so good. And so we have to, as creators, be able to have the freedom to take and create something new.
Absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. I think that, to me, and in my opinion, being around music, both in mainstream and then, of course, studying opera and being in musicals in college and that sort of thing, I think we are ready for new work.
Yeah.
We are ready for the next, iteration or creation of the Wiz. We're better than the Wiz. You know what I mean? We're ready for the next Guys and Dolls. We're ready for the next On the Town, the next Wicked, right? Yeah. Somebody needs to write something that, those shows will always be iconic and legendary in their own rights. But where's the next big booming musical where everybody's going to be singing it under the sun, right? I think a few years ago it was Strange Loop. Strange Loop was fantastic, and I didn't see it on Broadway, but read and saw some clips and things like that. Strange Loop. I also think when you have shows like Dear Evan Hansen, that to me is sort of the last big booming musical where everybody lost their mind. 6, right? The score for 6, unbelievable. Hamilton. Where's the next Hamilton?
Well,
right?
I have a problem with Hamilton, and I've seen Hamilton many times. I've seen it. I know. Come on, Lynn. I love you, Lynn. But also it was a problematic performance. I mean, I mean, it was great. You use hip hop. I love that you use hip hop because I love me some hip hop.
Yes.
But then you spoke about slavery one time in the midst, and you're talking about something that was so important during the time of relevant.
Yes.
You're not going to speak to it. So if you're going to do something, you're going to use a art form that was created, developed, and blown up by Black people. You got to talk about the truth of what it is. But one show that's really making, I think, some really incredible waves is The Notebook. And they have 3 different versions of each character, the main characters, and they're mixing it up. They have, one woman that's African American, one man. I mean, they really mixed it all up. And I was like,
I love that.
Wow, this is so freaking innovative. Again, but the people behind that, they're white people, but that's okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. We need our allies. We need them too. Open up them checkbooks, honey. Open up them checkbooks, honey. No, we need them too. And we love our allies. We just need more of them. And we also need more opportunities for, Black folks to create content, be behind the scenes, and behind the camera.
Absolutely. Well, time flies.
It does.
Time really, really flies. And we get to get into who's making a difference.
Yes. I actually really do love this segment because it's just a moment for us to give someone their flowers, you know, while they're still living. It happens so often, right? Where folks say, oh, wait till they dead,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then give them their flowers or pay your respects or make a movie about them. You know, how about we give people their just due or their respect while they're
Oh,
still with
no. Hey,
us?
no.
You know?
So I'm going to ask you to go first.
So I'm gonna talk about someone who I am absolutely obsessed
Who's
with.
that?
She's hysterically funny.
Yes.
She has highly educated. She actually is friends with my uncle. Shout out to my uncle in the Bay
Love
Area,
that.
because they are Stanford grads. So they've been on some vacations together, some trips together. I'm like, can you make me meet her, please? Can you just do a quick intro?
Who
Like,
is
can she
that?
send me a shout out video? It is none other than the amazing Issa Rae. So I'm paying my flowers and my respects to someone who's making a difference is Issa Rae. So as we were talking about in this episode about Black representation behind the camera, she's definitely one of those, you know, younger up and coming folks that has paved the way and said, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to make this on my own. I'm going to make this happen. And so, you know, everything got started for her in her dorm room in Stanford, California, Stanford University, where she wrote Awkward Black Girl, and she was filming on a camera, Awkward Black Girl. And then it just blew up, right? Working with Pharrell and creating a 2-part series. On that, she got donations. She worked hard to bring that creative outlet to light. And then Awkward Black Girl led to other work. And then, of course, Insecure.
Insecure.
I don't know about you, brother, but I was obsessed.
I was too.
With
one
Insecure.
of my favorite shows of all times. One of my favorite shows of all time, you know?
So good. And she's done other things, other film work. She was just in the movie that I just watched. You and I talked about it. American Fiction?
Yes.
She was just in American Fiction. She's been in The Photograph.
Amazing.
Like, she is unbelievably amazing. What I love most, as we were talking about Black folks giving back in creative economic development for folks, she is opened in Watts, South Central LA, honey. She has opened coffee shops and safe spaces for folks to come and break bread together and have, you know, these creative spaces where they can get their flow on, where they can, you know, create on their laptops and spoken word. And like, she's doing so much for our people in our community and showing such a level of dignity and elegance and grace, and she is unbelievably stunning. So I'm giving my shout out in this segment to the incredible Issa Rae.
We love me some Issa. I love her fashion too.
Yes.
Fashion
diva. Always dressed to the nines.
The red and the black carpet.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
One thing I love about Issa Rae, when I lived in LA, and like I said, her top of the show, I'm moving back. Leimert Park is her place. I mean, she loves Broadway and Hollywood, Leimert Park. And when she was filming Insecure, she made it so important that they would film in these areas that she loves so much of LA. And I was recently, you know, I was so homesick, and I was like, this is about a year ago, and I was just so homesick. I was crying, and I just wanted to be back in LA. So what I did, I rewatched Insecure because it was on Netflix. It's on Netflix now. So I rewatched the whole entire season. I binge watched it. Powerful piece of work, powerful artist who is behind the cameras, pushing those buttons, saying, yes, we're going to do that. So.
Yeah, I love it. The characters, and I heard my uncle kind of tell me a lot of the characters are based loosely on her group of friends from Stanford.
That's there you have it. There you have it.
Yeah,
mine.
Love it. So who's your person?
Mine is Lasange, and Lasange. Her last name is Sap Gooding, and the reason why it was so important. I was watching. I watch Sunday morning TV on YouTube, of course, and I'll watch it on Monday. And they had a whole thing about her, how she went from winning a Tony for The Color Purple. She played the role of Celie. And I remember because Brenda Russell went to Agape, where I was, still part of. Brenda Russell, who wrote the music for The Color Purple, they were doing a tour in LA, and Lasange came in, and I got a chance to sing backup for her. True story. Blew me away, her voice, and she was so kind and loving. She won the Tony Award and for The Color Purple. But I love what she's doing now. She says, no, it's time for me to step out from in front of the camera, behind the camera. I don't know if you know her story. Her husband was killed in 9/11. So she actually couldn't go to 9/11 for a long time where he was killed. He was a first responder. I believe she just did a concert there for the new monument that's there. But she said, I'm going to step from in front of the camera because he's still there. But she said, I'm going to be a producer. And her idea was, if you don't know where the Black film or the Black art directors are, I'm going to show you where. Here I am. So she took on that, and she's won several Tony Awards from producing. Yeah. She has brought to, like Kimberly Akimbo. I've never seen it, but I hear it's fabulous. And one thing she did, Top Dog Underdog, which she produced, she won a play for best play. This woman is so fierce. I'm excited to see what she's going to do. She's from, Florida. So, good talent comes from Florida. I do. And, so I just love her. I'm going to take on the responsibility to do this and to make sure that, other Black people get the opportunities to be in these positions. I am so grateful for what she's doing, and she's the person that's making a difference. Her and Issa. Oh, I love her.
I love it. Two queens who deserve their flowers. And yeah, I definitely remember, and Brenda Russell's, original score for The Color Purple, still one of my favorites. Like, them people were singing.
They sang, and they sang, and they sang, and they sang, and they kept singing.
They did. They did. Oh, that's a good one. I love that we both had, similar folks who are doing work in different spaces, but very similar work. So
we got to raise some money so we can play little clips of these music songs. We need to raise some money.
Y'all want to donate? Y'all want to donate?
We're creating a subscription on our new website that's coming out very soon. So look for that if you want to support this Gritz and Glitter movement, because that's what I'm calling it now. Yes. We're doing some amazing.
It's the brand, baby. It's the brand.
And where can people find us, Joe?
They can find us on Facebook, Gritz and Glitter Gritz with a Z and Glitter, the pod. Instagram, same title. We are just everywhere, and so thankful that we have come together to, amplify Black LGBTQ voices, create safe space for folks to be seen and heard. I can't wait till we have some interviews on, some special guests for y'all.
Yeah. And, I've said it maybe about 10 times already, but I'm going to say it again. YouTube. If you're listening to this, you got to see, because we got some good Black shirts on. We got our glasses on. We looking good. It's all good.
Last episode, the guns were out last episode.
Yes, I know, right? I know. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey of Gritz and Glitter Podcast. And please be kind to one another. We need you to be kind.
Yes. See y'all soon.
Peace and blessings, y'all.